Hi, my name is Stephen Boersen. My wife Alexa and I moved to the Northwoods about 4 years ago from Lower West Michigan. That's where I was born and raised by two amazing parents who brought me into the church at a very young age. I was surrounded by it. I went to church Sunday mornings, Sunday evenings, Wednesday nights for youth group. I went to a K-12 Christian school. I remember praying before basketball games and memorizing Bible verses, and I always coined it as like a bubble-wrapped Christian. That was about as good as I could explain it. My faith story has kind of two different parts. The first one is kind of finding out why I believe, and then the second part is acting on that belief and trusting God to kind of carry me through my life. So the first part of it kind of starts after high school to an extent. I went to a public university and got exposed to the real world really, really fast. I remember taking a science class and I had a professor teaching evolution. And I remember in the church, evolution almost felt like a swear word, and we didn't really talk about it. And for the first time, I had somebody kind of standing in front of me talking very confidently with great points for evolution. And it was something that really kind of changed me a little bit to think about the Bible a little bit differently and forced me to have a little bit of a different perspective. Then we kind of move on. In my junior year, I did an internship in Washington, D.C. Out there, I had a roommate question the validity of the Bible to me. We had a great conversation, but I remember walking away kind of disappointed and frustrated because, again, I didn't feel like I had the right answers. And honestly, he had, again, great arguments that I couldn't argue against, and I felt like I was just kind of going in circles. At that moment, alone in Washington, D.C., without family, friends, at that time a girlfriend, none of them were with me. And I remember going to God and just asking Him to show me, and that opened my mind to different books and different podcasts and different things. And I really dug into it, and it's amazing how far God took me with that. I actually now have the opportunity to talk with our youth now, and I walk them through this stuff, and we talk through it, and it's a great way to give back to our kids and kind of help them so that they don't have to have the same struggles I do. The second part of my story then, now that I've kind of built my faith, I move on to the next step, which is kind of walking in my faith. My wife and I got married right out of college, and we started looking for jobs, and we started asking God where He wanted us to go. And I remember we both felt really called to this town in Michigan that we were going to move to, but the applications they weren't coming back and talking to us. And I don't normally recommend this, but we put a time frame on it and asked God to show us by a specific date, which was New Year's Day, that if that wasn't the door He wanted us to walk through, shut it and we'll walk somewhere else. And New Year's Eve at about 5 o'clock, there was a phone call to my wife, and they offered her a job at the hospital. And about 20 minutes later, I got a call for a tech position at the same hospital. And we're like, okay, God, this is exactly where You want us to be. This is where we're headed. Fast forward a few years, we were on the job hunt again. We were looking for different things. And my wife was offered an opportunity to take a job in Maui. Yes, like the 80-degree beaches, beautiful weather, Hawaii, Maui Island. And as we were going through it, we were getting ready, making preparations, getting ready to go. And we got a phone call that said the doctor she was going to work with quit. That job was no longer available. And I remember sitting with my wife and we were talking about it, and it was crushing, but we knew God still had a plan. He had a plan for us. We were headed somewhere. And we got a phone call a little bit earlier from a doctor that my wife used to work with back in Michigan. And he said, check out Minocqua. Come up here. Googling Minocqua, it's in the middle of nowhere, especially coming from the city of Grand Rapids. And we traveled here in early September. If it was February, our decision might have been different. And I remember driving away with my wife, and she goes, what do you think about moving up there? And I said, I see about a 1% chance of us ending up there. And obviously 1% is enough for God to make something happen. And so after some doors opened and shut, here we are today, 4 years into it, and we love it. It was amazing watching God walk us through all these different times in our life, asking us to trust Him, showing us different things as we made our journey here. And to be honest, it wasn't always easy. At points it was frustrating, right? You go from beautiful beaches of Maui to, I don't know, shoveling 3 feet of snow here in April. But I wouldn't change it for anything. God has called us here, and we absolutely love it. So that's my faith story.